Hello everyone, this is Space Café Podcast, and I am Marcus. Ever tried to convince a 14-year-old that their favorite sweater, fresh out of the washing machine, might not be the best choice for school? You'll quickly find that what seems obvious to us adults doesn't always align with a teenage mindset, and off they go sporting a damp sweater with a self-assured smile on their face. Welcome to the world of teenage thinking. Much like the unique logic of teenagers, our global behaviors, especially within the Western bubble, can sometimes mirror this peculiar blend of defiance and self-assurance. Interestingly, just like teens who often lend their ears not to parents but to their idols who resonate with them, adults also heed voices that strike a chord within. This concept is the cornerstone of our Space Café podcast, offering authentic, unsolicited inspiration from global changemakers that motivates us to push our potential boundaries. So, let's embrace a mindset shift, challenge our perspectives today, and tune into voices that truly resonate, not out of obligation, but because their stories connect with us on a deeper level. In today's episode, we highlight the groundbreaking journey of Anousheh Ansari, an accomplished entrepreneur and the first Iranian and self-funded woman to visit the International Space Station. Anousheh's story exemplifies the power of dreaming beyond our world. From co-founding Telecom Technologies Incorporated and Prodea Systems to pioneering the Ansari XPRIZE, Anousheh has been instrumental in shaping the course of commercial space travel. Today, as the CEO of the XPRIZE Foundation, she continues to influence the future of space exploration. And right now, she's right with me in the Space Café podcast studio. Welcome, Anousheh Ansari. Thank you so much for taking the time.
It's my pleasure. It's exciting to be here.
Yeah, especially in Vienna.
I know.
Before we talk about your incredibly interesting life story, if you had another chance to go back into space, because you've been there, of course, where would you go and what would you like to accomplish?
That's such a difficult question because I cannot pick a destination. My ideal dream of exploring space was to be a science officer on board Starship Enterprise and to explore all the galaxies and just go where no one has gone before, because the opportunity to discover new places, discover how our universe works, and discover perhaps new species, new forms of intelligence, perhaps. That is what really would be amazing and draws me to space.
Wow. Do you think something is out there waiting for us?
100%.
100%?
100%. There is life elsewhere in the universe. I believe wherever there is life, there will be intelligence. Sometimes I question if human beings are intelligent with what we do. I even think in our solar system we'll discover in some form of life. I'm excited about the mission to Europa to go under the ice sheet and see if there are. We have water. Water is sort of where life grows. So I'm excited to see all that.
That's an interesting point you're making, because I read an article only yesterday about extraterrestrial life and the difficulty to find out what life is in the first place. Because we may have an understanding of what life is because we are used to life forms on Earth.
Yes.
But that is not the ultimate answer to what life could be. Maybe life looks completely different somewhere else.
Absolutely. And imagine if some alien life form visited Earth when there were only microbial life form on planet Earth. And they decided, oh, this planet doesn't have life. But we developed from that microbial life form. So it's a matter of timing. When do you observe, a location and decide whether there's life or not? Because there may be life, you're just too early or too late that the life was there and annihilated. At least if there was life and it's no longer, you will see evidence of that. But if it's just at the very beginning of it, you will not see a lot of evidence unless you're looking for it.
Like on Venus a couple of years ago, they found traces of a gas that could be traced back to life.
Yes, methane-based. And that's, only places where there's life, that type of gas is detected. So, it's the reason we haven't found life is not proof that there is no life. It's just we haven't looked. And we've been, if you compare our existence as human beings compared to the life of the universe, it's less than a blink of an eye. So,
yes.
And the distances are vast. Information travels at speed of light. We're, light years away from any possible location with life. So the fact that we haven't seen it, that means nothing.
Just for fun, I did the math only yesterday. Seriously, just for fun. What part of everything we are aware of, we think we know, and it's a number that's 17 or 18 zeros below zero. This is the amount of what we know of everything out there. So, yes. In fact, we know nothing.
We know nothing. And we are a very arrogant species to think we're at the center of everything. We found the hard way that we're not even at the center of our own, solar system or at the center of our own galaxy, let alone the center of the universe. So with billions of, stars and galaxies out there, I definitely believe there is life out there.
Yes, wonderful. Anousheh, it all started with The Little Prince.
Yes.
Right. What's the mystery behind that?
I don't know. I read it as a child, and at the beginning of the story, there is the pilot, and in his childhood, he's complaining about the fact that he was showing this picture of a boa who had swollen an elephant, and everyone thought it's a hat. And I related to that part of the story because I felt like everything I say, no one understands me. It's like no one can think like me. No one understands me. So I related to it, and I love the part about the alien coming to visit because as a child, I was fascinated with space. I believe there are aliens, and I would go at night and look very hard and, pray for an alien to come and abduct me.
Really?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I kept looking for one.
Did you tell your parents?
I don't remember if I told them. I thought if I tell them, they will be horrified. But I totally believe that there are aliens out there, and it's like I need to make sure I'm special enough for them to come and abduct me, take me, and I'll be their friends, and I'll be the little prince who visits another place. So,
wow, fascinating. But then you decided to apply for a job on Starship Enterprise.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't find Starship Enterprise. I looked.
But was that for real? So you were trying, or was
no? So growing up, I truly believe that by the time I'm an adult, when you're a child, time goes really slow, and so I thought by the time I'm an adult, there is a Starship Enterprise and there is a Starfleet Academy, and that was my career path. The older I got, I knew that there is no such thing. So my best chance was to become a NASA astronaut. When I came to US, becoming a NASA astronaut seemed also very unlikely and impossible. And I didn't have any money. I came with my mom and sister, and I was supposed to be the breadwinner. So going after my dream also was not very practical. So I had to find a practical solution and put my dream on hold, which I did. And I became an engineer, electrical engineer, computer science, because that was the growing field for a job. So that's how my story started.
Wow. So let's go back. You came from originally. You come from Iran.
Yes.
And then at some point you moved to the US. You tell your mom you want to become an astronaut. So why don't you walk us through your history?
Oh, sure. So I grew up in Iran, lived in Iran until I was about 16 years old. And that's when I moved to US and finished high school in US. My love of space started when I was very young in Iran and wanting to become an astronaut. And my parents probably never thought that it would be possible. So they didn't bother too much. As long as I was studying and I was doing good in school, they were happy. They're not so concerned about my career. So when we came to US, I finished high school and wanted to study astrophysics because that was what I loved to study of the stars and formation of the universe and understanding how it works. And it was and I didn't speak any English when I came.
Wow.
So
how did you go through high school? How did you make that?
So I was in 11th grade when I left Iran. When I arrived in US, because I couldn't speak English, they put me back to 9th grade. And I'm like, there is no way I'm going to do all this again. And what you study in high school in Iran is much more advanced. It's like the first year of college almost. Mm-hmm. So there was no subject that I didn't know. I just couldn't communicate. Wow. So that summer, I went and took classes, English classes from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Wow.
Enough to be able to communicate. And then I went and asked to take the tests for all the classes. So I took all the tests I had to do.
That's 2 years.
Yeah. Well, because we had all the classes. So I went to high school 1 year. But during that 1 year, I passed all the exams that they required you to get your...
So that was top-level education in Iran already, because you brought everything to the United States already.
And the language of science is universal, so that's the beauty of it. What I didn't have was American history, American government, English. So those were the classes I took during that 1 year, the things I didn't study in Iran, but... math, biology, chemistry, physics, calculus, everything AP classes I passed and I was able to go to college and study. But I got accepted to both astrophysics at a university that was far away and then electrical engineering at the university that was a bus ride away. Mm-hmm. So my mom said, you're going to the one that's a bus ride away.
And I want you to be at home in the afternoon.
Yes, part of cultural barriers, but also, for her, it was a practical advice so I can get a job and something that she knew I could succeed at, whereas she wasn't sure and I couldn't explain to her what I would do with an astrophysics degree except becoming a professor and a research scientist, which I would have loved to. But it's like, you don't even speak English well. You can't be a teacher. So I don't argue with my mom that often. So I respected her for taking me out of Iran and giving me the opportunity to study. And I figured I can study because with engineering, you can always study physics. So all my extra courses were in physics and astrophysics and astronomy.
Was that criticism from your mother a positive push in the direction you then pursued, or was it getting on your nerves?
It was hard because I wanted to go away. I came from a culture that, it's not accepted for a young girl to go live by herself. You usually live, you leave your parents' house when you get married. And I was in a new country being introduced to a new culture. And with that new culture came a lot of freedoms that I didn't have before. And I wanted to experience them. But at the same time, it was early days of being in US. It was the first year. I didn't have the confidence. And also, I know it was hard on my mom. I have a young sister, and I was her support. So I didn't want to abandon her and leave. So I stayed. I studied. I like engineering. I like fixing things. I love solving puzzles and problems. So it wasn't like a bad choice. I didn't suffer through it. I enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed astrophysics better and living by myself. But I think, sometimes things happen for a reason. And maybe if I didn't take this path, I would not have achieved my dream. Whereas the other one, I would have just studied space. This way, I got to actually go and experience space.
Incredible. How did you end up on the space station? This is a one-in-a-lifetime experience.
It is. And it's like connecting so many dots that if I had planned it, I could have never planned it this way. So
it's planned serendipity.
Completely. Luck, serendipity, and a lot of, willingness to take risk on my part. There is a quote I love quoting from Louis Pasteur. And his quote is that chance favors prepared mind. So yes, there was a lot of luck involved in me being able to achieve what I've achieved. But it's also because my mind is always working in looking for those possibilities. And even though I, became a successful engineer, successful entrepreneur, built several successful tech companies, I never gave up on my dream. I never thought, okay, now I'm successful. I don't have to do anything else, or I'm never going to go back to space and pursue that. It was obvious to me as daylight that I will, find a path there. So I was always looking for those pathways and opportunities. So when I sold my company, I always talked about it. I also believe if you have a dream, you need to talk about it, because you never know who's going to help you find the next step forward. So in all my interviews, when I sold my company, I said, my passion is to go to space. So Peter Diamandis, who's the founder of XPRIZE Foundation, he reads one of these interviews, and he had just announced a competition to open up space for commercial programs. And everyone had told him no, because it's too risky, and he was about to give up. He reads this interview, he decides he needs to find me. So he, tries very hard, finds me. I was vacationing. We were taking some time off with my husband, and we were in Hawaii for 6 months. And my assistant finds me. It's like, there's this guy who keeps calling every day. He wants to talk to you. And I said, well, what does he want to talk to me about? She said that it's about space. As soon as she said space, I said, okay, my first meeting when I come back is with him. Yeah. So we came back shortly after that and met with him. And he told me about this competition, an XPRIZE competition. And to me as an entrepreneur, it made sense, because I'm like, okay, so you're saying that people were going to ask the world to go build a spaceship, like in their garages, and then go to space twice within 2 weeks. And after they demonstrate twice that it works, then we'll pay them. Well, this is brilliant. How come we didn't do this when we were building our tech companies? Like, tell your engineers, or tell the world, a group of engineers, whoever builds this first, then we'll pay you. It's great. So we became sponsors of the first prize. And that was the first, step toward really, to me, it was I was doing something to open up space, not only for myself, but for many others who wanted to have this amazing experience. So reducing the cost of access to space was at the core of that competition. And it was successful. It took from the time that Peter announced it until we funded it and they won was 10 years. It was won in 2004. And we changed so many things, mindset and policies. And I remember the day we went to Mojave to watch Bertrand Spaceship One take off. People had lined up all night long to come and see this. For the first time ever, there was a private company launching to space.
It's like a rock star moment.
It was amazing. It was a historical moment. Every time I watched that video of the headlights in the darkness of the desert going toward Mojave. It makes me cry. And it was successful when they did it, and they won the prize, and they became commercialized through Richard Branson and Virgin Galactic. And but it wasn't just about that one team and their success. It was about all of a sudden people thought it's possible. We can do this. And during that 10 years, we were able to change FAA's mind about commercial space, and the group that they put together just to give launch licenses to XPRIZE teams became the arm of FAA that today gives launch licenses to SpaceX and Blue Origin and Sierra Nevada and all the other companies. So that's what's exciting, that shift that happened, that opened up so many possibilities that we see today with not only people going to space, but all these new businesses that have been activated with constellation of satellites that is connecting us, that's giving us information about our planet, the possibility of manufacturing in space, the possibility of energy from space and material from space.
Space is an integral part of humanity.
Yeah.
So it's really, there's nothing if we want to pursue the lives we live, space is a must. We cannot do without anymore.
Yeah.
So, and
it's where we live. Our planet is in space.
So in fact, we are well on our way towards becoming a interplanetary species, at least in our solar system. So Star Trek will come later, maybe.
Yes.
But where do you see humanity at the moment, at this very pivotal moment? I mean, like, a lot has happened after you kickstarted with XPRIZE, with your own endeavors, a major development, or helped co-kickstart it, I should say. So where do you see humanity at this point in time?
I think we are at a very critical point in human history. I think the way the curves of exponential technology, the curves of reduction in cost of access to a lot of things has opened up so many possibilities and opportunities for us to build and do things that was never imaginable, or it wasn't possible except for very large governments in the world. Now those things are possible for individuals sitting in their coffee shop on their laptops. So that opens up a lot of doors for great potential. At the same time, we are, like children playing with a lot of powerful, fascinating technology without fully understanding the ramifications of it. ChatGPT was released to the world. And I don't know if there was enough thought behind what's going to happen after this is in the hands of everyone.
Exactly.
And
a new toy just fell out of the sky.
Exactly. And everyone's playing with it. And that toy has a potential to explode.
Yes.
If you push the right buttons.
Yes.
And I think that's dangerous. I think we need to be a lot more responsible. As there's an old saying, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
We have great powers in the palm of our hands as individuals everywhere. So we have to be responsible about how we use these technologies and understand the powers of impact that they will have on our society. I don't think we need to ban technologies. I don't think banning anything ever worked. It just pushes it in a dark corner, and things that develop in dark corners usually is not good. I'd rather shine a light and let it grow in sunlight and with awareness and actually eyes on it. But that means that we need to collaborate, work together. We need to not be fearful, but have a healthy degree of skepticism mixed with optimism.
Yes.
That we can then develop things with the right protection and
maybe also a mature approach towards reality, not a juvenile approach, a playful, because it seems like right now we're young kids again with ChatGPT. Everyone is playing, but we're not seeing that we're maybe playing with something very, very dangerous.
And it, maybe you and I are playing with it, and we have an innocent, curiosity, which is great, to ask it to write a poem for us.
Yes.
About, change makers, for example. But, the same technology can be used for someone who wants to do harm and is not smart enough to know how to,
create a virus.
And this can tell it, there are ways to find it out today, even with social media and YouTube and Instagram and all these things. But it's harder to find it. Not only that, the fact that you can create content that can be perceived as authentic and truth and accurate, and then push it out there in masses. That was done in past, with other companies intentionally trying to sway elections and all that. Now they have a very powerful tool that if they could do 10,000 a day, now they can do 1 million a day. Those are the things that I worry about, and I hope that policymakers can catch up. I think we need policymakers who are smart, who understand technology, who are not catching up all the time, who can, get ahead of things, anticipate things, and help build protections before it's too late. Because right now we're playing catch up, and we're
playing catch up, absolutely, and we're on the verge of losing trust in everything we do, because we can't believe anything that goes together with digital, the media, books, whatever, anything that can be digitized is not trustworthy anymore.
Yes.
So what kind of world is that?
I know, but the worst part of this is you and I say it's not trustworthy. There is a very large portion of the population who don't even understand there's such technology at play. So if they see something on the internet, on the computer, it must be true. It was a video. It was an article that seemed to come from BBC, for example.
Exactly.
So they can't tell the difference that it's fake or real.
Yeah.
They believe it. And trying to educate them, people like my mom, that no, I know you saw this on the internet, but it's fake. And at this, now I could tell what's fake and what's real, but we're to a point that I can't even tell. It just maybe my intuition will tell me this cannot be true, and I can check it out, but she doesn't have any tools to do that. So we need to build tools for people who can very easily, uneducated, not digitally educated people, people who find it difficult to tell the difference. Simple tools they can use. It's like, let me check if this is real or not. Let me check if this is authentic or not.
And this is a matter of education. This is where the circle closes, so to say, where we need to educate society on a global scale as fast as we can.
Absolutely.
Is there an XPRIZE out there for education?
We have made it a core of our business to create education and awareness around everything we do in the world, and not by ourselves because we're limited in resources, but we have built an amazing ecosystem of very good scientists, entrepreneurs, engineers, companies that have great programs and they're authentic and their values align. So we are creating a sort of resource library in all of our areas of work and creating these roadmaps to the future. We are collectively envisioning in all of our domains of work, whether it's climate, energy, biodiversity, education, health, food, waste, water, anything, to sort of envision what a desirable, equitable, abundant world will look like in health, in energy, so on and so forth. And then once we describe it, then we will, with the scientists, describe a pathway where we will ensure that we can get there from where we are today, what breakthroughs we need, what behavior changes, what policy changes, all of these things need to be published and at the level that an 11-year-old can understand.
Absolutely.
And read. And if they want to know more, if there's a scientist looking at it, if there's an entrepreneur thinking about what should be my next technology company, they can look at it and they can dive deeper and find all the resources that led us to this conclusion. And that's what we're working on right now. And hopefully with the right support, we can publish that soon.
I'd love to see, now having the opportunity to speak with you, I'd love to see an XPRIZE for the best school, for the best educational system, because I have 2 kids at school. I'm super unhappy the way education is happening at the moment, what is being taught, what shouldn't be taught, and blah, blah, blah. The whole curriculum is from way back, completely outdated.
100%.
And all the time something additional comes on top of it. Kids, 10-year-old, 12, 14-year-olds don't have a childhood anymore these days. They have a 40-hour day full-time job.
Yeah.
So, and this is, so I'm really wondering why we have all those technologies. We have now artificial intelligence. Where are those great alternatives towards education these days? Where are they?
I think whenever you have a antiquated system that we have in education system in every country trying to catch up, they're protecting an established model. They're protecting jobs and all sorts of things that's slowing it down. But it's inevitable. I think if it wasn't for the pandemic, the move to digital learning would not have happened as fast as it did. The teachers, the schools, they were all forced into it. And now they are combining it, they're adjusting to it. But still, the content is being taught the same way.
Yeah.
And our children are much brighter. You know, the young child today is much brighter than when I was at their age, and they have access to so much more information. I believe in my heart that the way to educate is not through the brick and mortar systems that we have, but we need to focus on teaching kids skills, learning skills. How can you learn things fast? How can you learn critical things? Because our information is changing so rapidly that if we need to give them some basic tools and techniques and knowledge base that will help them understand everything else. But the content is being produced by people who can produce content much better than anyone, and the creative minds behind, the Khan Academy, for example.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't think the schools need to worry about the content. They should actually make it possible for students to access any type. They can curate and say, these are all the content we validated, they're good content. But the student, based on the way they learn, they can pick how they want to learn algebra, whether it's from a book, from a video, from Khan Academy, from going to a lab and learning it physically. We should have multiple ways for students to pick their own learning patterns. We just need them to teach the skill how to learn.
Exactly. This should be the very first class. Before you're teaching math or languages or whatever, I want to learn how to learn.
Yes. The critical thinking, problem solving.
Yes.
It's really developing the sense of curiosity for students to ask questions. The way we learn is to ask questions. If we learn how to ask questions and learn through that process, I think we can learn anything. And, the material is out there. We don't need to worry about creating new content. Yeah. There's so many people working on that part. Yeah. Billions of dollars are being poured into it. So we need to focus on the kids, not putting pressure on them that they become depressed and sort of overwhelmed by all the things they need to do to be great at everything possible. Yeah. And just give them the tools and pathways and be there to support them and answer their questions along the way.
To your knowledge, are there any good examples out there?
I don't know. I think there are pieces of it implemented in charter schools or special schools. People are experimenting with different models. But a lot of, in US, there's a trend in homeschooling. That is good and bad. Depends on if
who the parents are.
Exactly. Depends on your parents. But I think there are people thinking about it. We certainly at XPRIZE, learning and education is a big part of our work, and we continuously look at how we can improve this. We just are piloting a program for high schools we call it XPRIZE Connect, and that is to teach that type of critical thinking, problem solving, using an XPRIZE model methodology on how we approach problem. When there's a problem, how do you understand what are the components of the problem, breaking it apart, understanding what are some of the potential solutions, how to do research, all of that. So we're putting that together and we're piloting it in some schools, and then we build it so it's scalable. It's a model that you can basically take the content and adapt and just implement it in the school. So we're not going to implement it, but anyone who wants it, it will be open source to implement it. So we're hoping that, and I don't think we're the only ones, but our focus is not on the material, even though we will bring a library of material where they can access it. Our focus is on teaching them how to do critical thinking and how to look at problems not through the lens that, oh my God, we can solve this problem, but look at it with curiosity and say, how can I solve this problem? That's a mind shift that needs to happen with a lot of young people.
I'd like to circle back to something you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, the exponential growth of everything at the moment. And this is also maybe one of Peter Diamandis' cornerstones of his exponential technologies, Anousheh, etc. The exponential growth has certain appeal when it starts to grow, but when it's growing, to me, it could also become dangerous because there is no slowing down anymore.
Yes.
So what kind of world do you envision considering exponential growth all the time, every time, everywhere? So, because, I mean, like the planet, society, humans, we need time to relax at some point and to slow down. But that doesn't work anymore with exponential growth.
So, yes, I agree to some. It depends on what you're looking at. Exponential growth of technology, it happens automatically because, our scientists are always looking for how to improve things. It's just in our nature. So you can't stop and say, you don't need to improve anymore. It's good enough. They will always try to go to the next level, next level, next level. It's just in our nature. What is, I think, exhausting our society is tying that up with the need to connect it with the financial growth. Yeah. And I think when we look at this, companies need to grow, GDP needs to grow, everything needs to grow in terms of dollars and cents. That's when it becomes exhausting. If we can change our value system where technology can grow, but it's not because we want to sell more of something, and it's not around consuming more, it's around, knowledge growth, exponential knowledge growth, that can help us actually, can help alleviate a lot of problems to make more time for us. AI and this whole notion of ChatGPT with all its problem, if it becomes a co-pilot, something that I can use. For example, right now I spend a lot of my time writing emails, responding to emails, writing reports. Scheduling things, mundane things. Yeah. And if I can train a co-pilot that's private to me, that's not sending all my information to the world, and it can help me do all these tasks. Just imagine. It frees
time up for something
exactly.
else.
And I can choose now what I do with that freed up time is up to me. If I work for a company that is all about increasing efficiency and productivity and financial resources, then they say, okay, now you have 3 more hours in a day. You can do 3 hours more
a new project.
Of work. Here's your new project. Yeah. Or we can say, okay, you just freed up. You're doing the same productivity. Now you have 3 hours to go for a walk, to relax, to let your mind think and be creative, which ultimately would be good for my health and the growth of that company. But unfortunately, the way our businesses and enterprises work, they're like, how can we make more with less? How can we sell more? How can we grow faster? So we need to split technology and exponential growth of possibilities and look at it differently from how we look at growth in a financial sense.
Wonderful. I see. We were talking about humanity and the state of humanity. I see us at a precipice of venturing into something essentially new as humanity, a post-industrial age, a new kind of age. We're seeing the remnants of the old system battling it out at the moment, literally, also on the battlefield. But this is, to me, sort of an old system clinging on to its power or trying to hang on to its power, but it's at the same time understanding that they're losing it because something new is on the horizon. Would you agree that humanity is venturing into a new state, provided we survive that journey into that new world? Where do you see us?
Yeah, so that's a big if right there.
Yeah.
But yes, if we survive it, I think humanity as we know it will be completely changed, because I think the physical and digital boundaries will be erased and blurred. Imagine that, whether it's ChatGPT or not, but similar, generative AI models, very smart, they can learn very fast. Imagine instead of you having to type something, there's a chip in your brain that now you can just with your thoughts access it. So now your mind has become so much more powerful. Imagine ways we can physically change our bodies to be stronger against disease, to be able to go to space and not have the effect of low gravity or radiation impact you. So we will physically forever change. And how far we take that is also up to us. And I think there will be part of the society who would resist that and feel that I will not be a human being if I have all these augmentations and modifications, and that should be okay too. So there will be a very diverse, I think, set of human beings living together, and being able to respect each other, and being able to live peacefully together will be very critical, because you will have super intelligent humans because they have access to technology and they chose to have access to technology, and those who will not. But one other thing that I totally believe it has to be at the core is that anything we do has to be affordable and accessible to everyone. And if we don't, then we will create such a big gap in society that the doom and gloom that you see in many sci-fi movies
is just reality.
That it will become a reality. And we're there. Watching these movies growing up, or not even growing up, a few years back, I thought, yeah, it's possible, but it's like years away.
Yeah.
Now I think it may happen like within my lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what exponential means, because your brain can grasp how fast things can change. And I was thinking linearly. I was like, I'll be way, dead before things like this happen. But now I'm like, no, I may be here when.
Like AI was crazy. Yeah. It just appeared on the scene. Yeah. And it's here to stay.
Yeah. And you add that to, again, all these implants that are coming, the biological changes that are making it possible. Of course, they were inspired by, like if someone has lost vision or hearing or physical abilities, how can we enable them to regain those abilities? But so you have all these amazing implants that can talk to your brain. You have the AI, and then there's computer brain interface that has advanced significantly. Everything is being miniaturized. You have gene editing that's on top of it. All of these things are coming together all at once.
I mean, like, what's happening on that front, that brain-machine interface, what we saw in the Matrix movie?
Yeah.
How far are we from that?
Well, it's here. It's have here. I don't know, was it a few months ago, there was an article about Neuralink and Elon Musk and the chip in
the pig.
No, it was a monkey who was playing Pong.
Right.
With his brain. Yes. And it's been probably 6-7 years since people have had implants where they use people who've lost complete ability, they can control robotic arms with their mind, with their thoughts. And 2-3 weeks ago, there was an article about a machine that can read your thoughts. So it's here.
It's here.
It's not far. It's expensive right now, but it's here.
Crazy. Crazy. Can we go back to your exceptionally exclusive experience you had in space?
Yes.
What was your favorite moment?
Well,
the launch, maybe not.
The launch was, of course, exciting. But I think the most memorable moment is when I first saw Earth from space. And it's an image that's like right there. When I think about it, it's sort of ingrained in my vision. And it was an incredible emotional experience as well as visual experience, because I felt this warmth and energy of life from our planet. It was when the sun was reflecting off the surface. I could see these beautiful colors, and just it took my breath away, and it made me cry. I saw my tear drop floating in front of my eyes, made me laugh, and so I was crying and laughing at the same time. And I'm sure I made my crewmates really excited about, how I was childlike with this, vision of our planet from space.
Wow. 11 days that was, right?
I spent 11 days in space. The first 2 days while I was in the capsule, I flew with the Russians in a Soyuz, which is a little tiny capsule with a Russian cosmonaut and an American astronaut. And then I arrived and spent 9 days on space station, which was much more comfortable. It wasn't as big as today. The cupola wasn't there. It's 2006, but it's still a big window. And I spent a lot of time next to that big window and just looking at our planet. And the most important thought in my head during that entire time was like, what if everyone could see this?
Wow.
How our world would be different if everyone could see this. And
with their own eyes.
With their own eyes.
Yeah.
And understand that we are truly interconnected to each other and to this planet. There is no way you can build walls or draw borders on a piece of paper and say, we'll be protected in here. It just doesn't happen. I saw how our weather patterns are going around the, globe as I was going around it. And same way with any disease, anything bad and anything good. And it's only us working together and recognizing this as our only home in the universe that we can actually, make sure we have a safe and healthy place to live for a long, long time.
I may have an unusual question now, because we have, for that podcast, we have a playlist on Spotify.
Okay.
And each guest contributes one tunes to that playlist. And the question is, and now this is an exclusive opportunity for me. I usually do not have astronauts here on the show. How long was that journey from Earth to the ISS, to the space station? How long did it take?
It was 2 days, but getting to orbit was about maybe 20 minutes. But then 2 days chasing.
2 days.
Yes.
Okay. So 2 days. So now imagine an even longer journey, maybe to the moon, maybe to Mars. So I could imagine it's really boring. Which tune would you want to bring to that journey? Because it's extremely boring to have a little bit of a distraction, a nice distraction. Which tune is it?
Okay, that's a very difficult question, because if it's a long journey, you need multiple tunes. You can't listen to one tune.
This is why we have a playlist.
Yeah. So I actually created my playlist when I went to the space station, and I put it out there for people to see, and it was a wide variety. But if I were to pick one artist that I would listen to all his music all the way there and back, it's Sting.
Okay.
I love everything he's done, and it has mellow moods, it has uplifting moods, it has reflective moods. So I think in just my playlist of best of Stings, I'll find all my favorites. But Fragile was the one
Fragile. Shall we pick this one?
We can pick Fragile.
Good. And one last question. The show is called Space Café Podcast. It's a coffee place. And now and then you go to coffee places to drink an espresso to energize yourself. Now I challenge you to share an espresso for the mind with us, to energize our minds and the minds of the audiences. What would be your espresso for the mind?
You are definitely challenging me. I never had to think fast about something really reflective.
An espresso is a small dose of energy. Don't overthink it.
I know. I would say that, what I tell all the young people, stay curious, dream big, imagine the impossible, and take your first step toward making it happen.
Beautiful. Anousheh Ansari, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And as we close out this stellar episode with Anousheh Ansari, we hope you found inspiration in her journey from tech entrepreneur to space explorer, shattering boundaries, inspiring the next generation of dreamers along the way. Her story serves as a potent reminder that the sky is never the limit, but just the beginning. Your thoughts, feedback, and engagement are what makes the Space Café podcast a truly collaborative space. Please, if you have time, take a moment to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. We love hearing what you think, and your ratings help us bring more high-quality content your way. Engage with us on social media. Share your key takeaways, your own dreams, or who you'd like to hear from in future episodes. We value your interaction and the unique perspectives you bring to our space community. Remember, we're all astronauts on Spaceship Earth, journeying together through the cosmos. Keep dreaming, keep exploring, and stay curious. We look forward to embarking on another cosmic journey with you in our next episode. Until then, this is the Space Café podcast signing off. Thanks for joining us, and stay stellar.